I just want to thank everybody for coming out here today. Hopefully everyone's enjoying the conference so far. Again, my name's Tyler Ditto, Customer Success at Immuta. I was supposed to be to join here today with Slava Fried, Chief Technology Officer for WorldQuant Predictive. Unfortunately, due to a number of delays and flight cancellations, he wasn't able to be here today with us, but he sends his regards, and additionally, so I will be presenting on his behalf. So with that being said, I'm going to do a presentation on the WorldQuant Predictive building an end-to-end MLOps workflow with Immuta automated data access controls. So I'll go over the approach by WorldQuant Predictive, how we configured Immuta data access controls on their platform, and then how they put it all together and packaged it as a WorldQuant Predictive product offering. So for starters, who's WorldQuant Predictive? So WorldQuant is a company that delivers ready-made predictive AI solutions trained on the world's data. They deliver a specific AI platform called Quanto. This enables anyone to have access to the models, immediately predict outcomes, simulate scenarios, and optimize decisions. This platform really allows organizations to change the game, innovate, and make market decisions as quickly as possible. So how do they do it? There's a lot of personas in the mix here, really from very beginning of onboarding data sets through delivering data to the consumers. There's several different data use cases that come into play, from ingestion to exploration, governance and security, ML modeling, testing, validation, and deployment. And they do all this with a fairly large tech stack. And all these tools are for specific needs to allow a largely complex system to go on in the background while delivering a lot of value to the consumers in a very simple approach. So Slava likes to call this the law of conservation of complexity. Essentially, this law states that there's a minimum amount of complexity that needs to be involved in a system. So it's really making the choice of where you're going to put that complexity. And WorldQuant Predictive's overall strategy is really related to ease of access, ease of use for the consumers. So it's providing extremely high value with a simplistic approach to their consumers so their organization can make the right decisions they need. So how do they do it? It's all about keeping things simple. They use consistent toolkits and building blocks. This allows them to simplify and package complexity into specific solutions and then pair them together to create processes that are able to solve for some of those things. And they do it all as code. So they use Git as a promotion mechanism so they can promote code up through environments and provide holistic approaches to the organization. And they do all this with Immuta in the background. So Immuta really is playing the role of policy enforcement. So it's trusting that they're going to provide the appropriate data access to the right users at the right time. So there's a lot of things that go on in the background here and in the forefront. So it's allowing users to go to where they're comfortable to use the right tools. So it's ingesting ingesting data through Databricks and Immuta. It's doing transformations with dbt, training models, storing those models in MLflow, and then serving them through AWS. And that's really what the forefront looks like. There's engineers at WorldQuant Predictive that are making these models happen, but they're serving it up to consumers in a concise way. And the system's really managing all the complexity on the background. So it's the promotion of code from dev to prod, data flow from prod to dev, and then the slicing and dicing of data access with Immuta, again, to provide the right access to the users in the end. And on the right here, you'll see their goals really also being challenges. It's the need to provide compliance and security, but also maximize productivity. It's hiding environment complexity, but at the same time empowering users to self-service and get the data they need. So that really enters the cloud data security dilemma. And this is really how we've described this process here. So it's making decisions around being able to go fast and innovate and take advantage of market opportunities, but also at the same time, that's a direct comparison against information security and compliance. How do you go fast with the right controls in place and not get dinged by regulations and regulators, not partake in fines? It's a constant battle, and it's constantly pitting business users against IT teams that need to scale, against security teams who are trying to secure access to the data sets. And this is really how Slava's put it. He's like, Immuta is the idealized data governance and access control. So when you put data access in the center of your ML workflows, it allows you to move quick. So you're going to go slow. You're going to build out the right processes and deal with the complexity with the right tools in the background. And that's going to allow you to go really fast in the end and provide a lot of value to your consumers. And what the role Immuta plays in all this is delivering users to see what they need. So we do that with data and subscription policies. Data policies being slicing and dicing the data, so you're getting the most value out of the tables that are out there. So if we need to mask certain columns or certain rows, we can do that and still deliver access to the data sets. And subscription policies, delivering that on and off access to data sets across your organization. So what happens when we have new tables that get loaded up into schemas? So that's where schema evolution comes into play, and this has been a huge value add to the WorldQuant Predictive organization. So as they add new tables, we're going to pick them up and ensure they get reviewed so they have the right policy in place, so we're not creating a data leakage long term. And then that's all great if you can prove it. So that's where centralized audit of policy, access, and changes come into play. You can serve up these audit logs across all your data platforms to auditors to ensure that you are following the right regulations, you are complying with the regulations that are out there today. And then lastly, it's policies applied across all your disparate platforms without redundancy. That's really the Immuta value prop. You do policies in one place, one time, and you're able to interact that with all your platforms across your organization. So again, it's taking chaos and making order out of it, taking complexity and building processes around it to deal with it. A lot of the personas you'll see on the left here are similar to what we talked about in the very beginning of the presentation. They're doing the same things. It's data ingestion, data exploration, all the purposes and processes they're used to going and doing, but with policy applied. So we enacted policies in Immuta for WorldQuant Predictive that allowed them to redact PII, redact PHI, and be able to deliver access to data sets so they can get the same use out of it. The big value in all that is, because again, I'm sure a lot of you are thinking like, we can do some of that stuff today with Databricks. Well, the value added here is you're not doing it on every table. You do it one time with one policy, using the metadata you have out there today, and pairing that with user attributes and data and groups to ensure that you guys can go fast. So it's one policy that redacts and ensures you're not having data leakages across your organization. It's never sharing holdout data sets with data scientists. And then also being able to introduce fuzzy or synthetic data for data exploration. So we have a data set and we want to ensure the integrity of it overall, but without leaking PII to the organization. That's what we call privacy enhancing technologies that WorldQuant Predictive is taking advantage of. And then lastly, probably the biggest value add for them is the ability to remove access for expiring data sources. So we have contracts with third-party data vendors, and when those contracts come to a close, you put yourself in a position where you have a compliance issue. And Immuta allows them to put time-bound access controls on the tables to ensure users are no longer accessing data that they're not contracted to use. And all this does is really, it's the speed of access is empowered by policy enforcement. It allows the organizations to go fast and deliver significant value to the end consumers. So that's all great, and Immuta does it in a few different ways. So we remove the traditional solutions, which is creating rule sets for each data source like we talked about. It's creating complex rules and views to ensure that you're delivering the right access to data or limiting access completely. Immuta does this by allowing users to create projects and group data sources that way, apply policy all at once, with purposes, so contractual obligations that they're using the data in the way they should be. It's allowing users to express policy in plain English in the platform, and then also using, again, one policy to remove sensitive data across the organization. And that was great for WorldQuant for a while. And then we released a policy as code. And this is really what really changed the game for them. It allowed them to codify the Immuta policies and scalability, and then weave it with their automation. So really the big add, the benefit here is they can manage enterprise-wide policies and compliance, and then also integrate it with their DevOps and DevSecOps tool chains. So they have an end-to-end pipeline that allows them to move data and orchestrate data in the background, all while remaining compliant with policy enforced. So we talked a little bit about the overview of the technologies. We talked about the Immuta solution that allows all this to happen while complying with regulations across the industry. And this is putting it all together in Quanto. Quanto, again, is WorldQuant Predictive's AI product offering. So what it does is it allows organizations to make immediate predictions. They can take valuable insights into how they're going to grow or compete against competitors all on day one. There's not this necessity to load data sets or leverage advanced analytic resources to do it. Quanto provides the world data sets that are out there today on large models that allow consumers to make accurate decisions and run accurate models against the data sets they have out there. And at the end, this really just empowers organizations to make decisions in a split second and take advantage of market opportunities that are out there today. And Slava really attributes all of this to the orchestration in the background. It's the Databricks MLflow, dbt, Airflow, and Immuta all together that allow this orchestration to happen and allow organizations to move really quickly. Essentially, it allows us to take complex processes like this in data science and data analytics, repeat these same blocks, and turn them into something like this. So the end consumers are seeing a very concise view that allows them to do what they do best, instead of dealing with promoting manually or building policy or writing policy as code in the system. So final thoughts here by Slava. The main things here is it's being able to leverage consistent building blocks and patterns to simplify their environments and toolkits. Again, it's choosing where you're going to put the complexity and deal with it. Treating everything as code has allowed them to be reliable and repeatable across all their environments. And at the end of the day, data's everywhere. And then with data being everywhere, you need governance and protection as well.